Can't hear anything. There we go. Welcome to Political Musings on this Monday. Today we have a lot to talk about, and it's all about Trump's cabinet picks. Because if you aren't alarmed, you should be. Now, I subscribe to a Substack that I recommend to all my listeners, and I have for years now recommended him, and that is Seth Abramson. He did a really great review. If you go, that he has a column called Describing and Grading All Known Donald Trump Cabinet and Administration Picks. This came out on the 16th, so it came out on Saturday. And it's it's quite interesting. First of all, let's talk about the fact that none of the appointments got A's. Not A plus, not a regular A, not an A minus, no B pluses. You got one B, and that is Doug Burnham. Doug Burnham, governor of South Dakota, has done reasonably well there. He ran in 2024 as a Republican presidential candidate, dropped out early, and something, it was just to raise his profile, that nobody thought he had a single iota of a chance of getting that nomination. So there's that. He's a reasonable pick for Secretary of Interior, according to Seth Abramson, and I would agree. And he flip-flopped on Trump because Trump only picks people that kiss his ass. Let's just be quite blunt about that. That's what you have to bow down and kiss the ring, and then he will allow you. There's nobody that's a B minus. C plus. Susie Wiles. Susie Wiles is going to be appointed the first ever female chief of staff. So that's, good on him. A woman. And he gives her credit for having put up with Trump, the candidate, better than any campaign manager he's ever had. Trump is a mess. He really is. He is a mess. So I can't even imagine what it must be like. I can't imagine what it's like to try to manage a Trump campaign with him doing the most ridiculous things, like swaying for 40 minutes to his favorite playlist that somehow included two versions of Ave Maria along with YMCA. And it's a man's world. Imagine you're the campaign manager. You can see there's on the teleprompter, somebody got a picture of it, and they are begging him to answer more questions. And he doesn't. He doesn't. Should I answer more questions? Do you want want to hear what I have to say about anything? You who came here to a town hall to hear what I have to say about things? I mean, what do you do? What do you do? And the things that came out, and the things that he said, and talking about women, he's going to protect us whether we like it or not. Are you kidding me? He said these things. Um, I don't know what to say. Uh, that was an insane campaign. So, and you had people like Corey Lewandowski, who is, just one of the sex offenders that Trump keeps around him because, Trump is a predator and a rapist. And I'm not saying anything that hasn't been determined by a court of law and a jury, right? These things, about Trump are known. I don't understand why any woman would vote for a man uh, that did the things that he did in his first term, that did the things he did before. You know, but I'm getting off track. So Susie Wiles, she gets a C plus for being not quite the clown show that the rest of the picks are. Um, according to Seth Abramson, she is ruthless and unscrupulous, but these are key qualities for a chief of staff at the present moment. So there's that. Her promise to keep the clown show out of the office, well, I guess she's already failed on that one because as I saw someone post online, elect a clown, get a circus. And circus we have certainly got. Woo. Wow. But we're just getting started. You know, giving a straight up C, Marco Rubio. Now, according to Seth Abramson, Rubio hates and mistrusts Trump, and in turn, Trump hates and mistrusts Rubio. Do y'all remember the literal dick size fight of the 2016 campaign? Yeah. They literally accused each other of having small dicks. I don't know where to begin with that. Okay, sure. This is what Trump has done to us. That was an acceptable way to campaign in 2016 with Trump in the race. Never in my life. I am 60 years old. Never in my life before that would that have even. I mean, think about Gary Hart and the picture of him on the Risky Business with, was it Jessica Hahn or I don't know. That I look at the things, the outright scandals and corruption and lawlessness, and yet people still voted for him. And I saw somebody post. I go to General Hospital for escapism. That's one of my little things. I watch my soap opera. There's only one of them on the air anymore. And I rock hound and play with rocks, and that's what I do because it's fun. And it gets my mind off of what's going on in the world, which I'm needing a lot of distractions after the last, after the election. It's just, whew. But um, here we have Marco Rubio, who literally implied that Trump had a tiny dick, has been appointed to Secretary of State. You know, hopefully Rubio can calm some of the international leaders. That's what Seth is saying about him here. And but Seth suggests that the reason for appointing Rubio was he wants to replace her as a U.S. Senator with his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, who is currently the head of the RNC, and take her from being the head of the RNC to being a senator from Florida. If that doesn't frighten you, I don't know what will. That's a scary turn of events. Hadn't thought about that before Seth brought it up in his article here. But, you know, he's a senator. And he's got some foreign policy chops. He's been in the Senate for a while. I don't like him. I don't agree with him, but he's not terrible. He's not as terrible. Although Laura Trump in the Senate, that would be much worse than Marco Rubio. All right, moving on. C minus. We have a couple of entries in the C minus category. We have Carolyn Levitt. Carolyn Levitt is going to be Trump's new secretary, press secretary. And she's young and attractive. And that's what he looks for. It's not like he's making any effort to hide that. Young and attractive. And along the lines of Hope Hicks and Kayleigh McEnany. And she probably won't last very long. And as long as she's willing to lie for him every day, well, then, you know, that was part of the problem with Hope Hicks and Kayleigh McEnany, is they didn't really like lying to the public on constant. So that they just stopped doing press briefings because they didn't want to go out there and lie. So there's her. We'll see what happens with her. Then we have Lee Zeldin as EPA administrator. Now, Lee Zeldin is a climate denier and is all about, you know, he's been claiming that the Democratic Party has stifled domestic energy production, which is a lie. By the way, we are producing and exporting more than ever before. It's dangerous, but it might not be catastrophic. It's it's a terrible pick, but again, it's not as frightening as some of the others. Then we have Stephen Witkoff. Witkoff is Stephen Witkoff was made Middle East envoy. He doesn't move the needle at all. He doesn't make much difference. He's just a Trump buddy with absolutely no qualifications for this role. But, if you remember, in the first Trump administration, just about every, there was like 20 different roles that he appointed his son-in-law to, who, by the way, we still haven't found out the reason that the Saudis gave Jared Kushner $2 billion with a B dollars as soon as the Trump administration left office. We don't know why that happened, but seems a little sketchy to me. I don't know. But again, Stephen Witkoff is just a rubber stamp. All right, and then lastly in this category, we're in the C- category. This is a grade. Doug Collins. He's former congressman who ran unsuccessfully for the Senate. He's been made Veterans Administration head for his loyalty to Trump in the Judiciary Committee. It is paying to emphasis. The only reason he's been placed in this role. So yeah, he's a radical. He's deceitful. He's terrible. And he's now over the VA, and there are reasons to worry about that. I have a son who is a veteran, receives veterans benefits, but also has worked for the Veterans Department. And now that he is now married, he got married in a beautiful ceremony a week ago. His lovely bride and he will probably be leaving the state because Texas is no longer a safe place for a pregnant person. And there's a possibility they might try to have babies, but something might go terribly wrong. And if it does, they need to be in a state where it's legal to terminate the pregnancy if there's any issues with it. So that means my son would probably go back to work for the Veterans Administration. But with Doug Collins in charge, well, we don't know how well that's going to do. So that's a little scary, at least personally on my behalf. For all the veterans out there, you should probably be worried about that. All right, moving on down. D+. In the D+ category, we have Linda McMahon. She's been accused of passively aiding and abetting sexual abuse and child endangerment in the past. Linda McMahon is the person from, professional wrestling. And she was in his first cabinet. She's rumored to be the new Commerce Secretary. She's corrupt. She's a crony. Marginally competent. But as Commerce Secretary, I'm not sure she can do as much damage. She's not as dangerous as some of the other picks. Moving on. Giving a D to Tom Homan. I think Tom Homan should get an F. And he's pretty scary. Homan oversaw the deportations under Barack Obama at ICE. They pretended didn't happen. It's part of the big lie about immigration. Y'all remember it, and I had one of my own sisters who ran for Congress unsuccessfully. She said to me, "We have an open border." Actually, two of my sisters said that. No, we don't. That wasn't true. It never was true. And he is supposed to be borders off. And the only reason that he didn't get an F from Seth Abramson is because Homan's already acknowledged that he lacks the money to pursue wholesale deportation agenda that Trump has outlined. He has instead said that he will focus on deporting illegal aliens with criminal records, which is essentially what Obama and Joe Biden have been doing all along. In other words, may not deliver the nightmare concentration camp riddle scenario that Trump and Stephen Miller have promised, leaving immigration-focused voters with the equivalent of another unworkable border wall, lip service only part. But okay, let's go back. One of the things Tom Homan said when asked about he did the whole family separation policy, and admits he's still getting sued over it. Gee, I wonder why. You split up families. You took children away, and then you just you took them away from their parents, deported the parents, sent them off, and didn't keep track of where they went. We don't know. We've never been able to successfully reunite all those families, put them through trauma, I'm worried because you've got a lawless president who has 34 felony convictions, let's not forget, whose first administration was cruel and horrible. I don't know what to say about this. I'm really concerned. It's I'm worried. I'm worried for young children. One of the things he said was, "Oh, well, we won't separate the families. We'll just deport the whole family, including, for example, children who were born here and are legal citizens, including people who have attained citizenship." That's in what Stephen Miller has already talked about, denaturalizing. You're a citizen. They're going to take away your citizenship. And all those people with mixed status families, I'm sorry. It's going to be bad. It was bad the first time. It was horrible the first time. And I don't expect it to be better the second time. I think they just learned shit. Um, and for all your downplaying stuff, I'm much more worried about it than you are. All right, next we have Mike Waltz. Uh, Seth gave Mike a D instead of an F because he's not Mike Flynn or Kash Patel. Mike Waltz, National Security Advisor, he did once support America aiding Ukraine. So that's on the plus side, but that's not going to matter because, he's now a China hawk like Rubio, and he's a stooge for the Kremlin. He's changed his view on this. So, those of you not worried about Eastern Europe becoming once again part of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, now called Russia, back to being called Russia. Well, this is not good. Not as bad as Michael Flynn, but still not good. Not as great. Could be worse. Could be worse. Christy Nome, the puppy pillar, Cruella de Nome. Cruella de Vil, Cruella de Nome. If she doesn't scare you, no. Well, okay. She doesn't believe in anything. And according to Seth, Christy Nome is somebody Trump wants to sleep with. That's reportedly, Christy Nome had an affair with Corey Lewandowski. She'll do whatever Trump wants her to. She simply has no beliefs. She doesn't care about anything or anyone. She is a psychopath, a sociopath. And we know this from her own goddamn book, where she shot a puppy for behaving like a puppy. She shot a goat, for acting like a goat, for being a goat. Anybody that can shoot a puppy in the face, wow. I mean, that's some serious psychopathy. That's just, that should be scary in and of itself. Um, and according to Seth Abramson, she's just going to be a rubber stamp. Okay. In the D- category, we have Stephen Chubb. He's currently Trump's communication director. Chung is extremely unprofessional and routinely gay. He's routinely taunted and threatened various people. And he's, he's got that obsession with lying and vengeance and cruelty in his new job, but at least America knows what to expect from him. So, yeah, communications director who's terrible at communications. Now he gets a D minus. Now we get to the F category. And it's not lonely. It's not just one. All right, here are the absolute failures. Worst of the worst picks. And we start with Elise Stefanik. Now, she used to be okay. But she's recanted every belief that she's ever had, including she used to want Ukraine to be in NATO. She's going to be our ambassador to the United Nations. She would be okay with, well, let's put it this way. She won't be a rational, reasonable version like we sort of had in Nikki Haley. I mean, as UN ambassadors go, Nikki Haley wasn't awful. At least Stefanik will be. She will be terrible, and she has no ability to be a diplomat, and that is like the head diplomat. She's got to interact and do a good job, and it's a very important job. And, she will now be just fine with the United States exiting NATO. If you think that's not scary, well, go read a book. That's all I can say. Go read a book. Now we have Robert Lighthizer. I had not heard about this pick. I haven't heard anything about him before this, so I'm going to leave it to Seth's judgment because he knows more about this than I do. But Robert Lighthizer is going to be United States Trade Representative, where he will implement the tariff war, which will cause a major recession, if not a depression, possibly the second Great Depression, and that's according to Seth Abramson, but also according to leading economists all over the world, that a tariff war is bad, extremely bad for the economy, and will hurt the economy in ways big and small. Then we get down to Pete Hegseth. I don't know if you've seen these pictures of Pete Hegseth. There's the funny video that keeps going around with the guy where Pete Hegseth throws an axe and it misses the target altogether, goes over and smacks a guy playing, a fife and drum corps on the other side of the barrier. Just, okay, yeah, but that's not the scariest thing about Pete Hegseth. If you see the pictures of him coming out of the swimming pool and you can see all his tattoos are those of white supremacist Christian nationalists groups and QAnon and all of that. And so this is, this is like putting a more clean cut, more, how shall I put this, more photogenic David Duke. As Secretary of Defense. This is like putting David Duke as Secretary of Defense. Do you remember some of the guys that are in prison for many years until, of course, Trump pardons them for January 6th? Yeah, he's one of those kind of guys. He is very pro-insurrection. And it is because Trump wants to purge the military of anyone who is not loyal to him versus loyal to the Constitution. This is extremely frightening. And why this guy gets an F? Because remember those generals that worked for Trump? Like General Kelly, General Mattis, Espers. Remember those military professionals? They all endorsed Kamala Harris. Think about that. Never in my lifetime have I ever seen that somebody who was in the administration of one presidential candidate openly calling that candidate a fascist, a moron, a wannabe dictator. These are quotes. These are quotes from people in his administration. They were trying to warn us. They all openly backed Kamala Harris. They said, he's terrible. He's worse than terrible. And we stopped him from doing some things that he wanted to do. And the people that stopped him will now be gone. Anyone that wanted to stop him will be gone. And in place, you're going to get people like Pete Hegseth, who was a white supremacist, a Christian nationalist, who wants to purge the military of woke generals. Somebody tell me, what in the world is a woke general? What is it? I've never heard of that. That seems utterly absurd. You're telling me John Kelly is woke? You're telling me General Mattis is woke? Mattis is woke? I don't even know what to say. This should be more frightening than anything. This plan to purge the military of anyone that might stand up to the worst instincts, the worst possibilities, that's frightening. Moving on. Stephen Miller. Or should I just call him Voldemort? Whew. Stephen Miller is a white supremacist. I'm quoting Seth Abramson here in his article, but I didn't need to read this to know Stephen Miller is a white supremacist. He's going to be Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. His sole aim is to turn America into a Christofascist hell, which is funny because I believe Stephen Miller is Jewish, so the top Nazi is a Jew. Uh, I'm going to quote Seth Abrams and here. Miller is basically a commander from The Handmaid's Tale. Now, if you've not read The Handmaid's Tale, there is a series which I think you can find several places like Netflix now. Even I think you can watch because it's been off the air for a while. But you can go watch The Handmaid's Tale. It's pretty frightening, and I think that's where we're headed. I now the only saving grace is that he wasn't very effective before. But he's evil. He's just outright evil. These are just evil white supremacists he's putting in charge. Do you not get that? Do you not get that these are straight up Nazis? You know? Uh, it's scary. It's really really frightening. All right. As we move down, we have Todd Blanche and Emile Beauvais. These are Trump's criminal defense lawyers. Yeah, he's putting them as deputy attorney general and principal associate deputy attorney general. Uh, uh, this is Seth is an attorney and a law professor. This a criminal defense attorney like Blanche and Beauvais. It, that Trump is putting his own defense attorneys at DOJ in leadership roles. Once again, what he's saying is, I plan to break the law some more, and I'm putting these guys in charge of making sure that never gets investigated, that no matter how many laws I break, no matter what I do against the Constitution, I'll have my defense attorneys there making it all okay. That didn't scare you? Whew. But somehow worse than that is his pick for Attorney General, Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz has no legal experience. He's a lawyer. He helped plan January 6th. He was in on the planning. He's a pedophile. He uses and sells hard drugs and political influence. And there's a link in this Substack from Seth to another article about that. And it's bad when you ask Republican senators and they laugh and avoid the question. And some of them are just outright saying, like, are you kidding me? This guy is terrible. They don't think they can get him confirmed, but honestly, I think he will get confirmed. I don't see him standing up to him. Not with Republicans in charge of the Senate. It'll happen. We might lose one or two Republicans, but it won't be enough. Just like the second impeachment, it won't be quite enough Republicans to make it happen. So, yeah, I fully see Matt Gaetz, the pedophile. Gaetz is involved in the whole Diddy stuff. I have a son that's slightly obsessed with the whole Diddy scandal, and Gates and Musk and Trump are all over that. And speaking of Musk, we come to Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who have been put in charge of Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, with the same name as Musk's Bitcoin operation. Scam. It's a scam. Don't put your money in Bitcoin. I don't know how else to say this to you. This is a scam. This is a way for people to take your money. This is a scam. Stop it. Don't be an idiot. Don't put your money in Bitcoin. But these two, I don't. Let's start with Musk. So Musk is a white supremacist, and yeah, he's a white supremacist, Christian nationalist, and he will. He is also on the side of Putin. He's a Putin ally. He's a friend of Russia. He helped uh, Russia in Ukraine. He espouses deranged conspiracy theories on a regular basis. He has turned X into a cesspool. He will destroy. He takes businesses and makes them worthless. He doesn't care because he's got billions of dollars. He can't lose money fast enough. If you watch, there's a movie starring Richard Pryor. And now I've forgotten Brewster's Millions. That's what it is. This guy gets an inheritance, but the rules of the inheritance are he has a certain amount of time he has to spend $10 million, but he can have nothing to show for it. He has to have nothing but the clothes on his back at the end. And it's hard to do, but he does it. And one of the ways he does it is a political campaign. Because political campaigns are extremely expensive. So they have been put in charge of something called the Department of Government Efficiency. Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk, two crooks and criminals. And what they're the only saving grace here is that they have no authority and they will have no money. So we'll see what happens with that. My guess is it's going to be, I don't know. I am less worried about this. The only thing that worries me is that Musk has been everywhere. He's been on calls to. Oh, by the way, President-elect is not authorized to be negotiating with foreign governments because we only have one government at a time. And yet, that is what Trump is doing. And he's got Musk on calls with him. Musk is a bigger partner with Trump than Vance. Vance has kind of been pushed to the side, as vice presidents normally are. But what he's getting with Elon Musk will, he won't have, he doesn't have the same restrictions on him. And he won't. And so that's a little scary. But what they're doing is illegal already. They're already doing illegal shit. Guess what? And it involves foreign policy. And it involves, of course, stealing from the American people. But don't say we didn't warn you. Moving on. We have Robert F. Kennedy. Robert F. Kennedy, as you know, is an anti-vaxxer. And my father was a pediatrician, and I saw another pediatrician saying essentially what I remember my father saying about vaccines. My dad was served in Vietnam, and he said he saw children dying from diseases that we had mostly wiped out in this country, and because they didn't have vaccines there. And he says, and just so we're clear, if you look around the country and around the globe, anywhere where there's a surge in vaccine denial, where people are going, no vaccines, there's a renewed resurgence in deadly childhood diseases like measles. Measles actually kills kids. All right, this is scary. You know, polio making a comeback. But it's not just that. Okay, he's now on a raw milk kick. So I've been reading up on that. What I love is you will sometimes see the proponents of raw milk say, you just have to boil it. That's like saying, well, raw eggs are safe if you just boil them. Do you not get that? Actually, it's beyond pasteurization, because in pasteurization, you get it up to just under boiling, and you keep it there for about 30 minutes to kill the harmful bacteria. That's what pasteurization is. So, and do we really want somebody with a dead worm in his brain who left a dead bear cub in Central Park, who strapped a whale's head to his truck? I mean, the crazy shit about him, it just keeps getting crazier. And he is at the Department of Health and Human Services. And that is going to result in deaths. Specifically, deaths of children. And that is frightening more than anything. Now we get to Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard, DNI. Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian spy. That according to Adam Kingsinger. Okay? That's she is she's a cultist. She's in a cult called Science of Identity Foundation. Uh, she was instructed by her cult leader to pretend to be a Democrat for years, but jumped ship to MAGA as soon as it was clear that that's where the power was. Because the Democrats saw her for who she was and said, oh, hell no. Hell no. Uh, Tulsi is a national security threat. She is Putin's spy. She's just to put her in charge of intelligence. Wow. I don't know what to say about that. Well, we're running out of time, but we only got two more, and I'm going to briefly touch on Mike Huckabee, ambassador to Israel, claims neither the West Bank or Gaza exist, and there's no such thing as a Palestinian. Now, I have some Jewish friends that would agree with that, but he is, ooh, there's just nothing worse for if you were worried about the Palestinians. Uh, you should be worried about that. And lastly, Kash Patel is rumored to be put it put in charge of the FBI. Whew. We'll have to spend more time on that later, but we are out of time here, and we're out of cabinet secretaries, and we'll spend more time on some of these folks in future shows. But I got to tell you, if you're not worried, you should be. But do yourself a favor. I'm going to be doing some rock hounding therapy. I will be out the second Monday of December because I'm going to go on a rock hounding trip and forget all about this nonsense. And take some time, be with people you care about, and find ways to distract yourself. Turn off the news for a little bit, maybe, and get away. You're going to need all the energy you've got to become the renewed resistance. That's all I have for you today. Remember, get registered, get informed, get politically active, and go vote. And if you don't have anything nice to say, come sit by me.